performance in slopestyle where he earned a medal this afternoon.
Good day, wonderful skiers. In this video, we're gonna learn how to step up our knuckle tricks.
We're gonna be looking at nose butters, hand drags, and switch toe butters. It's gonna be sick. Check it out.
Now, baby, you're casting your spell on me. I say, boogum, now, baby, you're casting your spell on me.
So before you do sick air drags and butters, it's important that you feel out the rollers. And like imagine that was too little speed actually. Yeah, that would have been enough for a smooth 3. That would have been too slow. I got way bigger that time. Whew. It makes a huge difference. If you're a couple kilometers per hour faster, all of a sudden you get a 5-meter drop down the roller and it gets huge. So speed is crucial when you start doing this. Nose butters.
Sliced the motive, now finds himself in that 6th spot as well. Colby Stevenson jumped back into the mix, by the way.
A nose butter is when you bend the noses while you rotate the first 180 of a trick. In order to do a nice one over a roller, carve in with a bit of wind up that you swing the arms the opposite direction that you want to spin. And then from the carve, roll up onto the noses. Imagine this. The skis roll up inside of a barrel. As you go over the top of the roller, just keep pressing onto the noses. This will help you cork out and land nice and perpendicular to that landing. If this is too advanced for you, we have a more in-depth beginner nose butter tutorial which shows you how to nose butter on a flat slope. Start experimenting by carving harder into your nose butters once you get down to basic butter 3s. Then wind up harder and set it off faster to do 540s, even 720s and 900s. But be careful, with the bigger spins you'll uncork really fast and it will require longer body position.
I did a nose butter where I popped so hard I got out of frame into a over-rotated 7 a little bit. And I wasn't happy. I did like a full 180 before like nose dragging and it's not quite a butter. And then I tried to do it a little bit better by like doing a nose butter 3 where I really tried the butter at or even before 90-degree turn, just to feel the butter earlier, and then build my way up towards a 7 again.
A lot of it is about timing, I guess.
Yeah, that too.
So where you do it on the roller has a huge impact of like how much you're able to press. Like if you do it where the roller is already kind of starting to roll over, it quite often tends to become a bit more of a nose press. Like you get in the air, press, and then fly again.
Yeah.
If you do it a bit early, you can maybe keep the noses on the ground the whole way. But
yeah.
It's all the same. It's
so
just
by
different timing.
Carving in and trying to get the tails off the ground and the noses into the ground at the steepest part of the roller, so you have some time to butter before it rolls over.
Let's compare. Because I pop off the ground a bit, the entire ski comes off it. Then I just drag it. While Vincent, he manages to lean onto the noses much earlier. And you can see a difference in the body position. Vincent leans onto the noses, while I am more in the air. I've set the trick more like I would on a normal, say, cork 7. And obviously, buttering more like Vincent is cooler.
Whoa! The most common mistake I see beginner intermediate freestyle skiers do when learning to nose butter is that they either just kind of lean forward like this by extending the legs completely and then popping out of the bindings, or folding by the waist too much and also popping out of the bindings. And what you want to imagine is that you're inside of a kind of a barrel and you want to kind of rock up on the noses while keeping the legs a little bit bent. And this way it's less likely that you're gonna pop out of those bindings.
Another very common mistake when people first try to start doing them over rollers and with a bit more speed is to not actually properly set the rotation. The faster you go, the more you gotta set it as a normal rotation, like either from a wide stance or from a carve. And you really want to go into it rather than just kind of leaning and wait for the rotation to come at the end.
Yeah, because it doesn't come. The nose, although the edges grip the snow, it doesn't give you that much rotation. And on this point, I see people struggle a lot with the timing of when to pull in the arms, and sometimes pull in them too early. So I like to wind up while carving, set it off, go onto the noses, keep the arms far out, and once I'm at like 180, pull them in really hard. And that way it's quite easy to do a nose butter 5, for example.
It's quite important to find for yourself what works better for you to start your rotation. You can either carve in, and it quite often helps getting on your noses a little quicker, or come from a nice wide stand, and then as you set, bring it in tight and let the feet slide together. It usually helps with setting a bit more rotation.
Yeah, totally. So carving in, smoother, easier to get onto the noses early, wide, inside edge takeoff, easy to spin really fast, but you're more likely to like nose drag it instead.
Hand drags.
That was a rookie performance that year, and then he got it again in 2024. A hand drag on that one? Did I see a hand drag?
Let's learn a more basic hand drag. A hand drag is when you pop in the air and drag the hand. And in order to do one, you have to do the following. In the in-run, I like to sit down kinda deep as I ski towards the roller, with my eyes fixed on where I want to drag that hand. Then I sink even deeper before I hip thrust the hip in the sky and set the rotation off. While I'm dragging, I actually look towards the landing and fold the knees up so the tails are basically behind my head to avoid the noses of the skis catching the roller. I suggest that you first learn lazy boy hand drag 180s and 360s, and then go for a hand drag 180 before you take it to the sick cork 3 like this. Once you have stomped your first hand drag 360, I suggest you first experiment with dragging only one hand, then corking more. After that, I suggest you start spinning more. And in order to do 5s and 7s, I suggest you try to drag the hand kind of at 7 o'clock if you spin to the left, so quite far behind you to make the uncork quite smooth. Because you can uncork a bit too fast if you go too much towards your 9 o'clock.
When you're starting hand drags, you're gonna be doing it two-handed. Most of the time I still do it two-handed.
Yeah.
But it's just really fun to like try to switch it up with like just one hand, like go with the leading hand or with the trailing hand, and how it changes your axis almost of how you go into the hand drag. So
Just
rather than like laying down into it first and then spinning, or like you kind of flip into it almost.
feels like when I put just the leading hand, it feels like it's easy to put it more towards say 8 or 7 o'clock, like almost where the tails are. And it feels like that spreads out the cork nicer.
I prefer to do it with my leading hand. Why I like this is that the hand comes really close to the snow and it's easy to drag for 180s as well as 360s. And then I can have the other arm open and wrap it in to increase the rotation. What's cool about dragging with the trailing hand like Vincent is that you wind up more and set more rotation off into it. You can't do it for 180s that easily, and it has to be a 3, 5 or 7. It's also cool.
The common mistake with hand drags is not pointing the toes forward quite enough. Similar as in a worm turn, when you're doing it on the ground, you really want to point the toes all the way forward so that they stay off the ground. When you're jumping into a hand drag, that it can still happen that you're pointing the toes too far down and they catch in the snow. So you really want to lift those up.
Totally. So you could warm up just trying doing a worm turn and then imagining doing that worm turn like 50 to 100 centimeters off the ground. And start always with dragging both hands to ensure that something is dragging. Because if you miss the drag, you're not going to uncork it very well and you're going to crash.
A very common thing where you can kind of mess up is if you just put too much pressure on, and that almost then sends you the other way. So like that's kind of the opposite way of like missing your hand drag and not coming out of it at all. You come out of it and it presses you forward and you almost like overflip the other way. So it's very important to find your balance there before you build it up to faster speeds.
So if that's happening when you're dragging with both hands, I suggest that it's not a common mistake to drag with both hands, but remove one hand. A feeling I have in mind is like more where I'm dragging this hand. Am I dragging it like here at my own like 9 o'clock? Or is it a bit more towards 8 or 7 or 6? And I personally prefer something around maybe 7 o'clock, quite far back, but not exactly behind the tails. This way I find it sets me up for a really good cork feeling. While if you do a bit more to 9 o'clock, which you do so well, they get cool and side flippy. And they're rad in their own right, but they feel very different. And it's only the difference between maybe 45-degree difference in where I'm placing the hand at the beginning of the drag. Tail butters.
And again.
And two-time Knuckle Huck gold medalist Kobe Stevenson.
Switch tail butter 360 is when you skid and get onto your tails during the first 180 of the trick. To do a switch tail butter, I recommend you ride in switch and look towards the end of the roller. Wind up some rotation. As you carve towards the roller, pop a little bit and lean onto those tails. Roughly at 180, I suggest you pull in the arms to speed up the rotation. That will help you make it around the next 180. To be honest, I do it with a bit of wide-legged inner edge takeoff. This has the advantage of spinning really fast, but it's risky for you. You might catch an edge if you don't do this expertly. And you'd be better off doing it more like Vincent, who carves for a little bit more here at the end and then moves into that skid onto those tails before he also nose drags a little bit, which is a nice bonus. I personally find it much more smooth and easy to do switch tail butter 5s. It's like the trick is meant for it. Another rotation that works fantastic is switch tail butter 7. It's probably my personal favorite. It feels absolutely dope. And something that doesn't feel dope is this.
Well, that hurt. Yeah, I thought it was going really not that big, and then it went really big. So that's why you always have to warm up after lunch.
How could you have done it better?
In every way. Just speed, set better, put my feet down.
Straight from a big lunch, the coffee.
Yeah. Warm up.
Not
That's
enough
the main
coffee.
thing. Warm up.
Well, I did suggest in the end, what did you say when I said, should we have a warm-up?
I said we are better than that.
If you want to do a smooth switch tail butter, I strongly recommend that you carve in the whole way. This will make it much easier to stay on the same edges as you smoothly roll onto the butter. The downside is that it's harder to wind up and set off a fast rotation. They do that at X-Games too. They set it off with a wide stance. This means that you can push off and set off faster rotation, but you have to in an instant switch to the correct same edges again, or you will catch an edge and probably die. I'm just kidding. It's proper dodgy. That's why I think you should start carving, because you can spin pretty fast with that technique too.
A very common mistake on switch tail butters when people are starting out is they kind of break it down in 2 steps a little too much. So it becomes very much like a switch revert to forwards and then jump into the thing without actually having any sort of pressure.
Yeah, maybe
into the tails.
Maybe like an ollie, like a revert 180 to an ollie 180.
Like, it is a good way to build it up.
Yeah.
But at some point you want to start smoothing out and sort of maintaining one speed of rotation and really feeling like building up the pressure in your tails.
And for this, I strongly recommend that you carve in slowly at jogging speed, just to get a feeling being on those edges, and start the skid and try to get the noses up already at say 90 degrees into 180, and then finish off with what's going to feel like a ollie 180. A bit more intermediate advanced common mistake people do on switch tail butters is, once again, the timing is quite tricky to get right between. For me, I like to try to carve in, start at rotation, but I don't wrap the arms around me before I've actually buttered 180. So from a butter 180 position, there I pull in the arms. Pretty snappy and fast if I want to do a 5 or 7, or on a 3, I don't actually pull them in. I kind of just keep the net and not over rotate it.
when you're building it up to doing it with higher speed and maybe airing out of the end of the roller a lot more, it might be useful to already be kind of comfortable doing like a switch cork 5 kind of thing, because you tend to like put more pressure, lean a bit more into it, and then really fly out of it in a bit of a cork position.
Yeah, and in order to stomp it, you got to be relatively tucked in the air and dare to have some patience that you will come around.
So that's some basic versions of these tricks. But look at this, look what you can do. All of these tricks are basically tail butters, nose butters, or hand drags, and they are made into pretty wild tricks. Be creative, experiment with doing the tricks forwards, backwards, spinning, reverting, when you do it early on the roller or late on the roller. There's so much to do here. Good luck!
Slow and steady wins the race pretty much every time when it comes to freestyle skiing. Consider joining one of our sick freestyle camps for adults, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Finger guns.
Had a great time doing this. Damn, it was sick.
That's really fun.
Woo. Did I hurt your feelings?
No, it hurt my shoulder.